From the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business, this is the Smith Report, Summer Edition. I'm Pablo Suarez from the Office of Marketing Communications. This summer, we'll feature a series of conversations with Maryland Smith MBA students working as interns. And this week, we're chatting with Meg Gesner. She's an MBA Summer Associate for JP Morgan in Washington, D.C. And we recently had the chance to catch up and hear about her summer experience. So Meg, thank you so much again for joining us. Happy to have you here. Undoubtedly a very exciting summer for you with your internship. Can you kind of give us a brief overview of what you got going on and what you're doing specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. So this summer, I am a MBA Summer Associate at JP Morgan in their private bank, which falls under kind of the asset and wealth management wing of JP Morgan. And this summer, like I mentioned, I'm in the DC office and serving on what they call the partner coverage team, which serves clients with $25 million and up. And it's kind of just a full picture, holistic wealth management offering, whether that be, including trust and estates, mortgages, lending, and then kind of your typical investment strategies and wealth strategies and kind of generational planning and things like that.
So can you tell us a little bit about the company and maybe the culture and what you've experienced so far?
Yeah, so I will say that the JP Morgan culture, I heard going in was amazing, and I can attest to that. And it has been an amazing summer. I think everyone has been super inclusive and excited to have fresh and new faces and are eager to hear our ideas and then actually implement them, which I think is amazing. My team in particular has been great and welcoming. And like I said, wanting me to really get hands-on experience. I've been going to client meetings, and it's a very apprenticeship model, I would say, which has certainly helped me in my learning process and made me, want to do this full time and feel like I have the tools to be able to do it well. I will say the overall firm culture is very non-hierarchical. I think they always told us, during the summer early on to reach out to those who were above you, below you, same level as you. And I have found that every single person, regardless of, their formal title, has been incredibly responsive and eager to help in whatever way I'm interested in having them help me. So that has been, I would say, one of the coolest parts of it. We had, I had a meeting with the CEO, Jamie Dimon. I talked to the CEO of the US private bank, Dave Frame. So it's just a very flat organization, which is surprising, I think, for a big bank on the street. So that has been kind of my biggest surprise culturally, I would say, but by far one of the best parts of the summer.
Great. And so can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing, like what a typical day looks like for you?
I think another really unique thing about the private bank compared to other firms is that we have a meeting every single morning at 8 a.m. with the entire private bank, both in the US and with our Latin American team and then our Asian team. So everyone kind of nationwide tunes in at 8 a.m. And it's a great way to kick off the day. A lot of times they're telling us about new investment ideas that we can talk to clients about, general kind of updates to our internal platform, and just they're arming us with a lot of tools that we can then implement in our day-to-day work. So that's kind of how I start my day every day, Monday through Friday. And then after that, I usually huddle up with my senior banker that I was assigned to for the summer and see what's on her plate, how I can help go through some of her clients, what she has going for the week, different meetings, and ensuring she's fully prepped for those. And then beyond that, kind of day to day, I work on a lot of what we call prospecting. So trying to find new prospective clients for the bank, and in particular, the banker I'm working with. And in the private bank, everyone is kind of assigned to a vertical where they're focused on, either a particular industry or a particular geographic area. And then they kind of do a deep dive in that realm. So I've been doing some kind of targeted prospecting, trying to find new folks that they can reach out to. And a couple of them have actually kind of come to fruition this summer, which has been rewarding to watch. And like I said earlier, I've been able to go to some of those meetings, which I quite frankly have learned way more sitting in a half hour or hour meeting than I have, reading all the documents that can be put in front of me. So I'm happy to be in person this summer, I will say. I don't think a lot of this would have been possible, even just last year. So I'm excited to be there. And like I said, the team is awesome and very accepting of having a summer associate there and putting me to work, which I appreciate. And then one other piece I will touch on is we have kind of an overarching project for the whole summer, which is picking our own vertical or industry and then doing some prospecting within that. So I'm doing kind of a geographic focus with the area that I'm from, near Annapolis in Maryland. And I've been getting a lot of help from different bankers on the team with, kind of thinking through strategies and ways to approach people, why JP Morgan might be a good fit for X prospect. So that's kind of generally what I've been working on. Every day is very, very different, which is something I was looking for in an internship, and certainly has been the case this summer.
And from what you just talked about, is there something, are there responsibilities that you've really gravitated towards to, over this summer, things that maybe surprised you that you've enjoyed more than you thought you were going to?
Yeah, actually. So my work prior to my MBA was in politics, in the fundraising world. So a lot of kind of the networking piece and the business development and building relationships piece, which has translated extremely well to this job. But the part that I wasn't as strong on or experienced with before was kind of the actual investing side. So within the private bank, it's split kind of between a banker role and an investor role. And I've been more on the banker side, but I've gotten a lot of exposure this summer to the investor side as well. So learning about kind of all the different offerings that the bank can give the clients. And that's one of the exciting things about having such a large firm like JP Morgan is there are just so many options. Whatever the client's looking for, we can probably find them a pretty great solution. So whether it be learning, more about equities or fixed income, and then we have a huge alternatives platform. So anything from, private equity and hedge funds to real estate. We have like a timber fund. So it really covers the full spectrum, I would say, of what's out there, and really the best of what's out there. We're very selective and have a big due diligence process with what we are offering our clients. So it's been exciting to kind of learn more of the technical side of things that I didn't have experience in before.
Excellent. So you mentioned that it kind of touches on that political experience you have. So do you think that in that way that the internship definitely relates to some of your previous work experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been kind of exciting to see that it relates more than I thought it was going to going in. So like I said, I was kind of in the business of relationship building, relationship management in my prior work experience. And that is, I would say, the basis of the majority of what goes on in the private bank. Of course, we have to provide good investment products, good investment solutions. We have to, give them a good yield and things like that. But the basis of all of these interactions is having a really strong foundational relationship with the clients and, ensuring they trust you and, you're managing their money, so they need to. But I would say a lot of it has translated very well from my prior experience. And also on the prospecting side, like I mentioned, trying to find new business. It's exactly what I was doing working in politics on 2 governors' campaigns was, trying to find people that fit the profile of what we were looking for and would resonate with our message. And that's the exact same thing here. So it's been exciting that I can kind of translate some of what experience I had in my pocket to what I'm doing now. And then I've actually built on a lot of what I've learned, I think, in my first year of the MBA on the more technical side, like I mentioned, having taken some good finance classes and having now a kind of better technical understanding than I did before.
Excellent. And taking a step back, can you walk us through how you went about obtaining this internship?
Yeah. So I had a circuitous route to get this internship. Coming into my MBA, I was fully set on a totally different industry. I networked within that industry for months and months, spent a lot of time, which was fun and great, and I learned a lot. And then kind of as the year progressed, I was realizing that just weren't a lot of opportunities that were MBA specific in what I was looking at. So I kind of decided to change gears a little And I took a step back to think about, what did I like about my previous job, but why am I using the MBA as a pivot? And like I said, the relationship and the networking piece is what I did like. So I knew I wanted some kind of client facing, outward facing aspect in whatever I did this summer. So that alone was a great fit for the private bank. And then the other piece, which I've mentioned, is the investment side. I was hoping to use my MBA as a way to gain some more of the technical investment skills, which I think I have and will continue to do in my second year. So this is honestly the perfect coupling of both the investment side and the networking side. And having talked to a couple people, a couple of second years, I kind of found out what this industry was all about and that it was kind of the intersection of the two. So through a lot of those conversations, I realized this was a good industry that might interest me. And then through OCS, I was able to find the JP Morgan specific listing for an internship and talked with a couple of my coaches, and then ultimately got connected with some people at the private bank who had been in touch with OCS trying to recruit at Maryland. So it all kind of worked out. And I will say that you have to trust the process. I certainly did. And like I said, it was a windy road to get here, but I think it all definitely worked out for the best.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
And so I know that you mentioned in a previous answer that you talked about how accessible the leadership is and how easy it was to get along with many of your colleagues. I'm curious about how maybe you connected with your colleagues to make a good impression, whether that be in person or virtually.
Yeah. So lucky for me, pretty much everything has been in person this summer, which I think has helped me a lot on that front. I would say the majority of the leadership in my specific office in DC is physically in the office 2 to 4 days a week. So I've done a ton of in-person meetings. It was kind of my goal coming into the summer that I was going to try to meet and pick as many brains as I could. So as soon as I got there, I just kind of started reaching out to people. I printed out the Facebook, as they call it, of our whole office and just started crossing people off. So it was definitely a goal of mine to try to get to know as many people as I could. And hopefully that would, leave a good impression of me when I left this summer. So that's what I've done. I've met with a lot of different people who are in different kind of parts of the office. Whether that we have a trust and estates attorney, I met with him. We have a lending team that does all the credit. I met with them. So just kind of, learning and being eager to learn has been helpful. And as people always say, it's a good excuse as an intern to talk to pretty much anybody. So I found that to be the case, just whether it was, grabbing a coffee or lunch with people and both talking to them personally and then also about the job and kind of how they see an MBA summer associate being successful and then kind of the trajectory forward. So I've been very glad to have been in person, and it's been helpful on that front.
Definitely. And were there any classes from your Smith experience that you felt have helped you in your internship so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as I've mentioned a few times, this role I'm in is kind of the perfect intersection of the investments and the networking. So on the networking front, actually last year I took the organizational networks class, which just kind of emphasized how to think about your network and how to, think about a second degree connection or a third degree connection. And sometimes in this business, those are actually more valuable. You may not want your neighbor to be your client, but they might know someone who would be perfect. So kind of thinking a bit creatively on the networking side has been helpful. And then on the technical side, all of the finance classes, frankly, that I've taken have been great. In particular, the financial analysis, equity analysis class. And I'm actually going to be in the Mayor Fund next year, which I got a little taste for at the end of this past year. So that has definitely helped with just kind of general market knowledge, being able to look at someone's personal balance sheet and kind of understand the gist of what they have going, if they would be an eligible potential client and things like that. So yes, there is no question. I am much better at this job this summer than I would have been prior to my MBA.
Yeah, for sure. And are there any new skills that you think you'll take from this experience and that'll hopefully help you in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a lot. I think I had never worked in corporate America before, so that has been a bit of a learning curve in itself. But I think honestly, my biggest takeaway, and it's not a technical takeaway, is just the piece of knowing everybody in the office. I think it's underestimated how far it can go if people just know who you are. They know that you're competent. They know you're bought into both the organization and your work. Like I said, I've been focusing a lot on just general office exposure, internal office exposure this summer. I'm hopeful that helps when they come to the full-time hiring process. But regardless, I think it just helps to get your name out there and then learn from all the different people that are in different parts of the business, have been there for different amounts of time, and have endless amounts of experience beyond JP Morgan too.
And along the topic of advice, what advice do you have for students that are going to be seeking internships next year?
Yeah. Well, as I said, I had a little bit of an unconventional process, having totally switched gears in the middle of my search. And I think I said this, but to trust the process, keep talking to as many people as possible. I was talking to a lot of second years, some alumni, and just seeing what resonated with me. Like I said, I kind of had an idea of things and aspects that I wanted in a job. Whether it be, not sitting at a desk every day, having every day be different, having some client facing aspect, which were a few of my kind of checklist items. And then also thinking about kind of what will challenge you, I think, which for me is the technical investment stuff. Obviously that's different for every person, but I think having those conversations lets you kind of think internally about what would be a good fit, and also to just find something that will be good for the summer. And, if you like it and it turns into full time, awesome. But if not, it will be an amazing experience regardless, and will undoubtedly help shape kind of what is the right fit.
Absolutely. And Meg, it sounds like you've had a very productive and successful summer, and we're excited to see you back on campus in the fall. So thank you so much again for joining us today, and we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be back.
That's our conversation with Maryland Smith MBA student Meg Gesner, who's interning this summer with JP Morgan. Thanks, Meg, for sharing your experience with us, and thank you for tuning in. From the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business, I'm Pablo Suarez in the Office of Marketing Communications.